but because they're not ready to surrender everything that isn't true. But if you're here right now, still listening, still feeling this unfold through every word, then this message isn't just for you. It is you. Being a light chosen one isn't about being perfect.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
It's not about floating above the world, glowing in white robes, untouched by suffering. It's about embodying light in a world drowning in illusion. It's about becoming a walking transmission of truth, love, and clarity in a time where deception has become normal. And that's why it's so hard. That's why it hurts sometimes. Because your nervous system is literally adjusting to hold more light than it was conditioned to believe was allowed. Your DNA is waking up. Your heart is remembering. Your soul is reclaiming its original architecture. But the process is not linear. It's not clean. It's not always beautiful from the outside. And that's why most people miss the signs. They think being a light chosen one means having no shadows, no doubts, no pain. But that's not true. The light doesn't erase the darkness. The light simply refuses to abandon the truth, even in the dark. And that's why this is sacred. So let's drop in. Let's go deeper than we've ever gone before. Let's explore the 5 signs that you are tuning into this rare vibration, this sacred frequency, and what it means for your life, your body, your relationships, and your mission. I want you to listen not just with your ears, but with your entire being. Because this isn't a checklist. It's a mirror. And it will reflect back to you the parts of yourself you've been secretly waiting to remember. The first sign is paradoxical. You feel more sensitive than ever, but also more resilient. Your emotions come like waves now. You cry more often. You feel the suffering in the world like it's your own. A stranger's pain becomes your heartbeat. A tree being cut down feels like a limb being severed from your own body. And yet somehow you grow stronger. You don't collapse like you used to. You breathe through it. You alchemize it. You hold it. Because you're no longer avoiding pain, you're transmuting it. You've stopped running. You've started listening. And in that listening, you've become a vessel for transformation. But here's the deeper truth. This emotional intensity is not a flaw. It's a gift. Because light chosen ones are frequency stabilizers. We are emotional anchors for the collective. When the world goes into chaos, we hold the signal of peace. When the vibration drops, we become a tuning fork for remembrance. And that's why your emotional body is being recalibrated. You're not becoming too sensitive. You're becoming finely attuned to the divine frequency. But it requires that you stop resisting the waves. Feel them. Let them move through you. Don't label them. Don't analyze them. Don't try to fix them. Just become the ocean. Now ask yourself, have you been denying your sensitivity? Have you been judging your emotions as weakness? What if your tears were not signs of fragility, but signs of soul expansion? That brings us to the second sign. You've begun to lose interest in things that once defined you. The roles, the identities, the masks. You look at your old life, and it feels like a dream you're waking up from. You used to care so deeply about what others thought, about success, about validation, about being seen. Now, you could walk away from it all if it meant peace. You're not apathetic, you're free. And that freedom scares people. Because when you no longer need their approval, they can't control you. And when they can't control you, they will call you dangerous. But you're not dangerous, you're sovereign. And sovereignty is terrifying to those still trapped in the illusion. So this is your initiation. Can you walk away from what no longer fits, even if it's what once saved you? Can you mourn the old version of you without clinging to her? Can you die to your former self so you can be reborn as your truth? Because light-chosen ones don't evolve by upgrading their identity. They evolve by dismantling it. They don't build empires on top of trauma. They burn it down and plant light in the ashes. That's what you're doing now. But let's go deeper. The third sign is subtle but unmistakable. You start experiencing synchronicity at a level that feels almost supernatural. You think of someone and they call. You have a dream and it plays out in real life. You see repeating numbers, animal messengers, songs that seem to speak directly to your soul. And these aren't random. They're signals. Because when you tune into the vibration of a light-chosen one, you become quantumly visible. You're no longer operating on the human timeline. You're tapping into the divine web of consciousness that connects all things. And so reality starts responding to you in real time. Why? Because your soul has activated the resonance of alignment. An alignment is magnetic. It pulls people, events, and opportunities toward you not because you chase them, but because you've become a vibrational match for them. This is more than law of attraction. This is law of embodiment. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. So here's the question, what are you broadcasting? What is your energy saying when your mouth is silent? Because the universe isn't listening to your words. It's listening to your frequency. When that frequency is aligned with truth, love, and purpose, you don't have to force anything. You become the signal. And the signal attracts exactly who and what you're meant to impact. The fourth sign is more difficult to accept. You begin to outgrow people you love. Not because you're better, not because you're right and they're wrong, but because your soul is accelerating, and not everyone is meant to walk every step with you. And that's heartbreaking. Because you want to bring them with you. You want them to see what you see, to feel what you feel, to remember what you've remembered, but they can't hear a frequency they haven't yet tuned into. And if you force them, you will only dim your own light in the process. So the invitation here is grief, not as a curse, as a rite of passage. Because light-chosen ones must learn to walk alone before they can walk as leaders. We must learn to hold our own field before we can hold space for others. We must learn to trust the silence between connections, because in that silence, our true tribe will arrive. Not the ones who tolerate our light, but the ones who recognize it. The ones who say, I see you. I remember you. I've been waiting. So don't cling. Don't chase. Just bless and release. and trust that what is meant for your highest path will never require you to shrink in order to keep it. Now we arrive at the fifth sign, and it's not what you think. It's not about doing more. It's not about achieving some enlightened state. It's about something radically simple and infinitely powerful. You begin to feel peace in your body even when life is chaotic. You stop needing everything to be perfect. You stop trying to fix what isn't broken. You stop outsourcing your stability to the external world. Instead, you drop into the now, again and again. You breathe, you soften, you listen. And in that listening, you realize I am okay, even now, even here, even in this. That's the vibration of a light chosen one. It's not about escaping the human experience. It's about illuminating it. It's about walking through the fire and becoming the calm at its center. It's about choosing love not as a passive emotion, but as a warrior's stance. It's about holding light not as a performance, but as a frequency of remembrance. So I ask you now, can you trust the peace? Can you stop waiting for the world to validate it? Can you allow it to be your new normal, even when everything around you begs you to panic? Because that is your power. That is your gift. That is your confirmation. And if these signs are resonating, if you're feeling chills, tears, or a deep yes in your bones, then you're not becoming a light chosen one. You already are. You're just remembering. And now that you remember, everything changes. Take a breath, not a shallow one. A real one. Inhale, hold, feel. Exhale. Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to say may shift your entire relationship with why you're here. If the signs we explored earlier hit you in the heart, if they felt less like new information and more like ancient truth remembered, then it's time we talk about the deeper reason for it all. You didn't stumble into this awakening. You didn't become a light chosen one by accident. You chose this, not from ego, from soul. Long before this lifetime, long before the veil dropped, long before the world was infected with the illusion of separation, you made a contract, a sacred vow, a soul-level agreement. You said, when the world forgets who it is, I will return. I will anchor the light. I will carry the frequency of remembrance. I will walk through the fire and not flinch. I will hold the signal, even if it costs me everything. That is the soul contract of a light walker. And it's not metaphor. It's encoded in your bones. It's encrypted in your field. It's the reason you've always felt different, even when no one could explain why. It's why you felt heavy emotions at age 5 that others didn't feel until they were 50. It's why you saw through the lies before you even had the language to name them. It's why you couldn't sleep some nights, not because you were anxious, but because you were remembering. Your mission didn't start when you became spiritual. It started the moment you entered this world with your eyes wide open and a heart full of light. And ever since then, the world has tried to make you forget. Through trauma, through distraction, through programming, through pressure to conform. But you can't unknow what your soul already agreed to. You can't undo the light in your blueprint. And the more you try to fit in, the more it hurts. The more you deny the mission, the more life will bring you to your knees, not to punish you, but to awaken you. Because chosen doesn't mean special. It means responsible. Responsible for carrying a frequency that's missing here. Responsible for remembering who you are when everyone else forgets. Responsible for embodying love in a world that profits from fear. And if that sounds heavy, it's because it is. But it's also liberating. Because once you remember your contract, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What am I here to anchor through this?" That's a light walker's question. We don't run from the dark. We bring light into it. We don't avoid the pain. We alchemize it. We don't bypass the chaos. We transmit peace through it. So let's talk about the contract. Let's break it down, because it's not abstract. It's encoded in your everyday actions. It's alive in your breath, your choices, your presence. The first clause is this: you agreed to remember, even if no one else around you did. That's why you were placed in families, schools, cultures, and systems that often felt like cages. Because your light was designed to activate in contrast. You needed the forgetting to ignite the remembering. And that contrast, that pain, that confusion, it wasn't a mistake. It was the signal, the alarm clock for your soul. It was what cracked you open. Because light-chosen ones don't awaken in comfort. They awaken in the ashes. They awaken in the tension between what's real and what's been forced upon them. So if you've suffered deeply, intimately, relentlessly, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your contract is active. It means your light is online. The second clause is this: you agreed to love without condition, but not without boundaries. This is where many light-chosen ones get lost. They confuse unconditional love with unconditional access. They think being spiritual means being selfless to the point of self-erasure. But here's the truth: unconditional love includes you. It includes your nervous system, your peace, your body, your truth. You didn't come here to be drained. You came here to pour from overflow, not depletion. You came to love fiercely but also wisely. And that means boundaries are not barriers. They are filters. They protect the frequency you came to carry. Because if you let anyone into your field, you dilute your channel. And your channel is sacred. So if you've been learning to say no, if you've been walking away from what no longer resonates, if you've been grieving relationships that can't meet you where you are, that's not failure. That's activation. You're reclaiming your field. You're remembering that love isn't about martyrdom. It's about sovereign embodiment. Now we arrive at the third clause. You agreed to speak the truth, even when your voice shakes. Your throat is a portal. Your words are spells. Your voice, when aligned with your soul, is a vibrational weapon against illusion. That's why your voice was targeted. Your self-expression was shamed. Your intuition was dismissed. Because the system knows, when light-chosen ones start speaking, reality begins to shift. So I ask you now, what truth are you still afraid to speak? Not the polished one, not the spiritualized one. The raw, wild, unfiltered truth. The truth that might make people leave. The truth that might shatter the image they have of you. The truth that might finally make you free. That's the one. And when you speak it, you cut through timelines. You close karmic loops. You liberate not just yourself, but the ones still trapped in silence. Because your voice is not just for you. It's for the grid. It's for the collective. It's for the awakening. And speaking it is not optional. It's a requirement of your mission. Let's go deeper. Clause 4. You agreed to hold joy in a world addicted to suffering. This one is harder than it sounds. Because when you awaken, you start to see all the pain. You feel the collective grief. You see through the illusion. And it's easy to drown in the sadness of it all. But your light is not just for healing. It's for celebrating. It's for laughing. It's for creating beauty so potent it reminds people what's possible. So ask yourself, when did you stop letting yourself feel joy? When did you decide that being awake meant being heavy? When did you forget that the most radical thing you can do in a dying world is live fully? Your joy is not a distraction. It is a revolution. And you bring it not by ignoring the pain, but by choosing to hold both. That's the mastery of the light chosen one. Not bypassing. Balancing. Holding the grief and the gratitude. The rage and the reverence. The heartbreak and the hope. Now we arrive at the 5th clause. And this one is the most sacred. You agreed to lead the others home. Not by convincing them. Not by saving them. By embodying the truth so completely that they remember on their own. You are a lighthouse. You don't go searching through the storm. You stand tall and you shine. And in that shining you become a map, a signal, an invitation. That's why your presence matters more than your words. That's why your energy is felt before you speak. That's why people tell you, I don't know why, but I feel safe around you. It's because your field is coded. You're carrying a frequency that reminds them of who they are. Not through dogma. Not through information. Through resonance. Through example. Through embodiment. So stop hiding. Stop waiting to be ready. Stop thinking you need more healing before you can lead. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to be real. You're here to walk as the truth. And that walk, that's the fulfillment of your contract. So I ask you one final question before we continue. What would your life look like if you actually believed you were a light chosen one? What would you say? What would you release? What would you create? What would you become? Because it's already within you. The contract is alive. The mission is active. And the world is waiting. You've remembered the signs. You've remembered the contract. Now, the mission begins. But this is not the mission they told you about. This is not about building platforms, preaching doctrines, or being followed. This is about walking as the living light, not metaphorically, but energetically, viscerally, dimensionally. This is about becoming so aligned with your soul frequency that your very existence becomes a portal, a vibrational bridge between the unseen and the physical, heaven and earth, source and skin. And this This is the most sacred and challenging part of being a light chosen one. Because it's not about what you know. It's about what you are. You don't transmit light by talking about it. You transmit light by becoming the frequency. And that frequency must be forged through your daily choices, your presence, your embodiment, your willingness to live differently in a world conditioned by illusion. So let's go deep now. Let's talk about what it actually means to walk as the living light. Because if you don't understand this, the awakening becomes a spiral of confusion. But if you do, you become untouchable, free. A walking, breathing transmission of divine remembrance. The first truth you must understand is this: light is not performance. It is not perfection. It is not pretending. It is not constantly smiling, never swearing, always shining. True light is sovereign integrity. It is clarity. It is the courage to stand in your truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs you followers, friends, approval, control. Living light is not about being liked. It's about being real. It's about being so anchored in your divine essence that you can no longer lie to yourself, even if it means letting go of the life you've built on illusion. So ask yourself, where in your life are you still performing light instead of embodying truth? Are you saying yes when your soul screams no? Are you smiling when your spirit needs to grieve? Are you posting love and light while harboring unspoken rage? None of that is wrong, but it's not your truth. And walking as the living light means you bring all of it into the field, not to fix it, but to normalize the wholeness of being. We are not here to look holy. We are here to be whole. And that wholeness, that's sacred. That's what shifts timelines. Which brings us to the next layer. Your frequency is your leadership. We've been taught that leaders are loud, visible, charismatic, influential. But a light-chosen one leads by vibration, not volume, not popularity, resonance. You walk into a room and the energy recalibrates. You say nothing, but hearts open. You move through the world with presence, and people feel safe to be their truth. Why? Because you've done the work to be your own truth. That is spiritual leadership. That is vibrational mastery. So stop waiting to be appointed. You've already been chosen by your soul, by Source, by the divine intelligence that coated your body with sacred remembrance. The question is not, am I ready? The question is, will I stop delaying what is already alive in me? Because the world needs your frequency now. Not when you're more healed. Not when you've meditated enough. Not when your life looks a certain way. Now, in the mess, in the mystery, in the middle of your becoming, that's where the real ones rise. And that's where heaven touches earth. Because here's the secret: heaven is not a place. It's a frequency. It's a dimension of consciousness that lives inside your choices. It's what you bring into your relationships when you stop gaslighting yourself and start speaking your truth with love. It's what you bring into your body when you eat, move, and rest from a place of devotion instead of punishment. It's what you bring into your work when you stop hustling for worth and start creating from overflow. Heaven is not a reward for obedience. It's the natural consequence of alignment. So if you want to anchor heaven on earth, you don't need to wait for a miracle. You need to become the miracle. You need to become the kind of person who is so in tune with your own divine spark that everything you touch becomes sacred. Not because you try to make it sacred, but because your frequency sanctifies everything it touches. That is the power of the light chosen one. And it's not rare because only a few can do it. It's rare because few are willing to surrender everything that is not aligned with it. But you're different. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. You've already surrendered so much. You've already said yes to the unknown. You've already walked through fires that would have broken others. So now it's time to lead not with force, but with frequency. And that means living your alignment like it's the most important thing in the world. Because it is. Think about it. How many people are watching you quietly? How many souls are tracking your energy, not your words? How many beings are looking for one person to show them it's possible to live from truth and not be destroyed by it? That person is you. You are their evidence. You are their permission. You are their lighthouse. And every time you choose alignment over approval, you send out a signal. It's safe to be free now. It's safe to be true. It's safe to come home. That signal moves through your field. It moves through your content. It moves through your family line. It moves through the grid of humanity like light through a crystal. So don't underestimate your impact. You don't need to be viral to be vibrationally visible. You don't need 1 million followers to be a frequency holder for the world. You just need to be you fully, unapologetically, and consistently. But let's get practical. Because we're not here to just talk about light. We're here to live it. So what does that look like on the ground, in real life, in your daily walk? It looks like this. You speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You protect your peace, even when it disappoints others. You rest because you are not a machine. You create because your soul needs expression more than your ego needs perfection. You love without attachment or expectation. You forgive without bypassing or forgetting. You lead without needing to be followed. You grieve without apology. You laugh without fear. You live like your life is the message. Because it is. You are the message. You are the sermon. You are the transmission. And no one can do it like you. Not because you're better, because you're you, and that you is not a brand. It's not a role. It's not a costume. It's a frequency. A living, breathing, multi-dimensional frequency that soars specifically designed to be expressed in this exact moment in human history. So I ask you now, will you stop hiding it? Will you stop delaying your embodiment? Will you stop pretending that you're not already the one you've been waiting for? Because you are. And if you've been looking for a sign, this is it. If you've been waiting for a moment, this is it. If you've been wondering when it's time, it's now. This is the moment you say, I remember who I am. I remember why I came, and I refuse to live another day pretending otherwise. This is the moment you walk as the living light. Not because it's easy, because it's true. And the truth is what sets the world free. So go, live it, speak it, breathe it, it. You are the light. You are the legacy. You are the bridge between worlds. You are the chosen. And the time to rise is now.